because we want to hear from everybody as we can. And first of all, I want to say that Paul would be is so pleased that you're here today. And so am I. I'm very grateful but for all the family that showed up. And some couldn't be here today, and we understand, and we know that they're here in spirit. And we are going to be videoing the entire next hour or so. And I understand that Araya is really good at putting videos on YouTube, right? Okay, so we're gonna look to you.
Pressure's on.
We're gonna look to you, Araya. And so Tommy's got his phone on over there, and then you can tell us how to do all that later on, okay? And you can just keep some of the music going as we're talking. I just want to tell you what the order of this time is going to be. It's going to be very loose, so please, relax, and we're gonna ask anyone who wants to say anything about the memories of Paul, good times and events, whatever you wish to talk about, you're welcome to do that. And you don't have to come up here to do it. You can sit there at your chair and do it if you want, if that's what you prefer. And so we'll do that in a few minutes. And one of the things I wanted to do is, I know that we're all family, including Susie and Jay over there. But you all don't really know each other, because we've got West Coast family and East Coast family in here, and everybody in between. And some of them haven't even met each other. So I would like to just kind of go around the table, and I know most of you know everybody, but just right quick, just say who you are and who you belong to, okay? So Dar, let's start.
Hi, I'm Darla. I am Mom's eldest daughter, and this is my husband, Tom.
And Tommy.
Her husband.
Okay.
Jeanette, I am Dad's third, what is it? Daughter. I'm kidding. I was gonna say the middle child, but there is no middle for us.
I'm Carrie. I'm Daddy's middle kid, and my husband is somewhere over there. There he is. That's Michael.
I'm Joe, and I'm Mom's son. I'm her favorite son. And my wife Barbara.
That's Barbara.
Yes.
They've all been together a long time over there. Go ahead, Susie. Now I know, excuse me, just a moment. Susie and I go way, way back, and I did not expect them today. And I'm so honored that she and Jay are here. So go ahead, Susie.
I'm Susan, or you can call me Susie.
Yeah, I always call her Susie.
You always call me Susie. And Dottie and I just go way back. Just been lifelong friends, feels like, and I'm just so grateful to be here, to be with you all and remembering Paul.
I'm Jay, and I'm with Susan, and I'm just thrilled and honored to be here.
We're glad to have you, Jay.
I'm Susan. I'm the youngest of Dad's kids, and this is my husband, Mitch.
I'm Doreen, I'm his oldest, and this is my husband, Jerry.
You can say something. Husbands.
I'm Jerry, and I made a commitment to Paul to be joined to this one forevermore.
I'm Chet. I'm one of the grandkids.
I'm Ashley. I'm Carrie's daughter, Dottie's granddaughter, first granddaughter.
That's right.
I'm Alicia, and I'm Carrie's daughter, Mama's granddaughter, and my husband Dan, and 5 of my 6 kids there.
Yeah. Alicia has 6 children, and only one's not here today because she couldn't be.
I'm Michael, Carrie's husband.
My son-in-law too.
I'm Dan, and I'm married to Alicia, and
Married.
five or 6 kids.
I'm Giovanna. I'm her first daughter.
Hi everybody, I'm Noah. I'm the first son for eldest child. I'm the child to Alicia, great grandson of Dottie, and grandmother is gonna be Carrie right over there.
I'm Mariah. I'm the youngest son, and I'm a great grandson.
You are.
I'm Ezra. I'm the son of Alicia, the grandson of Carrie, and the great grandma of Mama.
I'm Ashina. This is my mom right here. This is my mama, and this is my grandma. This is Nagi, and my papa.
That's right.
Hi everybody, I'm Chase. This is my wife Bina. I was lucky enough to marry into this family when I married Ashley several years ago. We had Avery together, and I was even luckier to be kept in the family after we split up. And they welcomed my wife Bina as one of their own, and we're just blessed to be a part of this plan. So
We're
thanks for
thankful
having us.
you're here. Yes.
Isn't that something? We have a truly extended family, so we're so glad you're here, both of you. And thank you for introducing yourselves. So the other thing, and getting back to the order of the time that we're together, as I shared, I'll share a little bit, and then when it's all over, Paul, his memorial is here, and so I thought we'll either take cars or just walk over there because it's really close, and just have a final prayer when we're over there. And then Carrie and Michael have extended their home to us, and so at 4:30, and I don't know if you folks can stay, but you're welcome if you can. We're just gonna go over there and have pizza and salad and have a good time over there to finish up the day. So you're all welcome there. And I want to acknowledge several that are here that have helped this and caused this event to be able to be what it is, and I think they're all very pleased. First of all, our directors and administrators here are Matthew and Heather, and they put all this together, and I just shared with them what I wanted, and they did it. And so just such a beautiful job, and the music and everything has been exactly as I've requested. And then the caterers, they've just done such a great job, and I just only reached out to this memorial, Eternal Hills, and then they contacted the caterers for us, and so again, I didn't have to do anything, and I'm enjoying it as well as all of you. And then the other family members that I want to acknowledge, first of all, is Connie and Sally and Cindy. None of them are here today because they all got ill. Well, some of them got ill in Boise and couldn't be here, but they did the video and the music behind it, so that they put it all together for us, and they worked a good long while on that, and so we appreciate that. And then Darla and her daughter Paige and Paige's spouse Genevieve, they put together the brochures that you're looking at. And I reached out to them because that was their expertise, and they just did a fabulous job, as you can see. If you open it up, you can actually, if anybody wants to, they can frame it, because when you open it up, it's an 8x10. I think it's an 8x10.
I think so.
And so anyway, I wanted to thank them for doing it. And Genevieve, she's the creator of that portrait on the back. She actually has never met Paul, and she took a picture and created that portrait of Paul. She painted it. It's not a photograph. It's a painting. And so the canvas is outside as you came in, and then we wanted to put it on the back of the brochure. So anyway, I wanted to acknowledge them. Jeanette, now this lady over here, Jeanette, all of these collages, she did. And it took her 100 hours at least. So I think some of them are gonna go home with different ones and all that sort of thing, but I do want to thank her so much, because she took pictures that I don't think you'd ever seen before.
Yeah, I saw pictures of my dad that I never knew we had. So, it was pretty cool.
And then, of course, Michael and Carrie for hosting their home, later on. We appreciate that very, very much. And then Connie's not here, but I did wanna thank her and Darla, or we wouldn't be here today, because they're the ones that put Paul and me together. And I think did take a sneak peek at your video that you're gonna share later, but, how Paul and I met is that they set us up. And, so we met in a restaurant because they created that event somehow, and we got there. But anyway, that's all history now, and she can say a little bit more about it, but I want to thank them, because otherwise we wouldn't be having this event, and all of us be together today. And you know, while we're here, each one of us have a different relationship with Paul. Each one of you, whether you're a friend, whether you're a grandchild, or whatever you are to Paul, is special and unique to you. Because it just, some of the, you know, Athena, I remember when you sent me that sweet message, and so did Valentina, who's on camp, at camp. But they sent me such a sweet message about what Paul meant to them. And it just helped me to recognize how much each of us have a special relationship with Paul. And that's what we're here about today. We're all here, we all agree, all of us agree that Paul's not here anymore. But we're here because we have joy, because we knew him. And that's what we want to remember today, is the joy. That's why all of this is here, because we had Paul and I had 31 years together. Well, 31, we just celebrated our 30th anniversary in September. But it was so special, all those years for us, that, and just knowing that each one of you that were born, we would be out here at the hospital, remember? Remember, popping in the room. And I'll always remember when Noah was born, it was the first one, but we kept coming back because he kept having more. So I think that we would all say that Paul was truly an extraordinary man. And I'm just going to give my few comments before you all have your opportunity. And I had to make notes because I didn't want to forget anything, but we had so much in our 31 years together that I could never even begin to say everything. So I'm just going to kind of bullet point things that I found about Paul. In addition to him being extraordinary, he was a star. And I think that everyone that would see Paul walk into a room knew that he was there. And then, you know, his voice would cause echoes in canyons, because his voice was so outstanding. And he, as we know, he used that voice to further his career, to have fun with it, do all kinds of things with it. And he was a clown, you know, he was truly a clown. You all know his humor, and especially the kids, they grew up with that humor, but we all learned to love it as well. I remember he would, when we would take some of our road trips, we would, I'd just be, you know, looking at the road, and he'd start to sing. He would just start to sing, and sing love songs. He would sing Vince Gill songs, and then he would do this Elmer Fudd thing. And he said, "I'm driving in my car with the radio on." And he would just make me laugh so much. And I probably laughed more in my 31 years with him than I've laughed in my lifetime, because he was so funny. But he was always respectful of me, always. And we were partners, you know, we were truly equals, because I would bounce things off of him, and he would bounce things off of me as we went along through life. We just enjoyed living together, we enjoyed hanging out together, and we agreed on most things. And the things that we didn't agree on, then one of us knew when to give up and let the other one win, because we were both strong drivers, and he was extremely expressive, but we had very few disagreements. I have to say that, you know, I think that was one thing that was so special about us too, in our lifetime, was that we just didn't have many disagreements. We just would talk through it, we would work it out, and knew that there weren't any options to not work it out. And kept on moving forward. And I know that you all know that he had a heart bigger than life. He loved his family, he loved his co-workers, his friends, he loved animals, you know. And he wanted to take any animal he knew, he wanted to take them home. And we couldn't do that, but we probably would have. I bet you guys have animals, don't you? I think Susie's very much the same. And so often we would go into deep, deep discussions because he really was a strong man of faith. He just was quiet about it. And as I knew him more, how he got that strength and that faith. He started out at an early age when he would be going to see his, some of you, I learned yesterday that some of you didn't even know this story, but every summer, because his mom and dad, they divorced when he was 6 months old, I think. So he would go to see his dad, who still lived with his parents, Paul's grandparents. He would go see his dad and spend the summers there. And that's when he gained and gathered his faith in God and what Christianity is all about. And that kind of waned along the way, but as we were together, little by little, his faith grew stronger and stronger. And we'd have these big discussions about life beyond and what's out there, and he would, you know, it was those kind of discussions that we would talk for a long time and never get the answers, needless to say. but just the fact that we were able to talk about what we didn't know and what we thought we knew, and explore the life hereafter. I guess I'll put it that way. What's really out there? And I think he became, he had a deeper understanding of those things as well as I did. And we traveled so much. A lot of it was all business, but we always made fun out of it. And, you know, when Jamie and I were working together, which was Susie's deceased husband, when we were working together, every now and then Paul would come with us, and we just had so much fun. And that's when I met Susie, who was the Cinderella of Disneyland. That's this lady over here. And when she and Jamie married, excuse me, Jay, you don't mind me saying this, but we went to their wedding, and it was the most big and awesome wedding I've ever been to. But it was all Cinderella, all about Cinderella, and you know, Susie can maybe tell you more about it, but it was incredible. But anyway, Paul and I went to Spain. One of the most funny things I can remember when we went to Spain was I was a navigator, and he had gotten this car, and so he couldn't put it in gear for one thing, because it was a European car, and you know, he didn't know how to put it in gear. So we had never been on a trip together, and he was trying to impress me, but he didn't want to admit that he couldn't get it to go in reverse. That's what it was. And he finally had to go get a lady that lived in Spain to come out and show him how to make the car work. So that was really an embarrassment for him. But during that time, I was a navigator, and I had the map in front of me because we were trying to get to a place called Natchez in Mexico. It was Natchez on the map. It was Natchez. And I'm looking at this, and I said, well, we need to go to Nachos. And he looked at me. Now, he knew Spanish, and I didn't. And I said, we need to go to Nachos. That's where we need to go. And you couldn't have dinner until 10 o'clock anyway there in Spain, because everybody eats. You know, you've been there. Everybody eats much later. So I kept saying nachos, and I thought it was because he couldn't hear me. And because he'd always told me he was kind of deaf in one ear, you know, and I was talking in that ear. And so, and then I said it so many times, I finally realized what I was saying. I was talking about nachos and not nachos. And then that was one of the times that we really began to laugh with each other at each other, and I laughed at myself because it was just incredible. And we've done some other things. The times that we went to the Bahamas on business, on my business, he would go and say he was arm candy, but when one time we went to Bahamas, I was just telling some of the girls this yesterday. It was at Christmas time, and so as you all know, most of you know anyway, Paul was a fantastic dancer, and we did a lot of dancing along the way. And anyway, all these Bahamian ladies, they really wanted to dance with Paul, and so they came over and said, "Could we dance with your husband?" And I said, "Sure." So he was in hog heaven because he was dancing with so many lovely women. And he was also a risk taker. And, you know, he was fearless in so many ways, and sometimes to a detriment, but he would just take risk in business and adventure. He didn't care how many planes he jumped out of, and he went to the Amazon. Anything that was exciting to him, whether it was business or adventures, he would participate. And he had so many along the way. He knew the depths of disappointments, and he knew the depth of fear, and he knew the depth of emotional pain. Yet he always picked up and he started over again. And so I've seen that in my 31 years with him. He never failed to express his love for me every day, countless times throughout the day. And I know that the majority of you know that. You've heard him say those things, and I to him. And love was the biggest thing in our life out of everything. It was the biggest thing that held us together as we were. And he always voiced the same for his family, how much he loved every one of you. And you, Susie, he didn't know you, Jay, but he would. You guys would, you would, and he would voice the same thing for you. That Susie came to spend a night with us since her husband passed away, who was also here at Eternal Hills, by the way. Paul just said so many beautiful things about you after you had gone, but we were so appreciative of you coming over and spending the night with us that time. When Paul went to his eternal home, we were having one of those discussions once again that particular evening, and I'll just tell you how it was. I'm not going to tell you everything, but we always because as you know, he had fallen, and we had a difficult year and a half behind us, and it was a very, very difficult year, and one that I knew that he didn't want to go through because I didn't want to see him go through that. But nevertheless, he still would bounce back. We'd have really good discussions from time to time. And this particular night, we were having one of those discussions when he laid down and had gotten into bed, and I went over to the bedside, and I said, we've just had 31 wonderful years together, haven't we? And we started having those kind of discussions. And then I just said to him, what would we do if we didn't wake up in the morning? What would we do? And I said, where would we be if we didn't wake up in the morning? And he got really quiet, but he got so bright-eyed. And he looked at me and he said, I'd be in heaven. And I said, you would? I wanted to hear him say it again. and he said, yes. He said, that's where I would be. I'd be in heaven. And so we talked a little bit more of confirming that was what was going to happen. And if we didn't wake up. So when we confirmed everything, then I said, so would I. And he said, looked at me and he said, I'm going to see you there. And I said, well, I'll see you then as well. And then, he finished off, he said, as he always did, good night, Dottie. He said, I love you. Those were the last words that we said. Those were the last words that we said. So Paul went to his eternal home, and we both lived and experienced that moment, because within about 2 hours later, he got up, went back to bed, and I knew that he was going on. But he went in peace. He went, as I've said before, no fear. He was in no pain. God answered a prayer for me, that's how Paul would go. And I think that's probably how all of us would want to go if we are going. And we will, we'll all do that at some point. But the point is that I'm trying to get across is how blessed we were that we had those 31 years together, and it was all full of love. I'm reminded of the scripture that is in 1 Corinthians 13:13, and it's very brief. It just says, and this is how we lived our lives, and now abide faith, hope, love, these three, but the greatest of these is love. I want every one of you, particularly you younger ones over there, to remember that. That's what you go for. You go for real love. And it's not always easy. It's not always easy. In any relationship, it's not easy. But you just have to hang in there and keep on moving forward and keep love as the foundation of everything that you do. I mean, and all of the disagreements you might have, you just keep going back to that love kind of thing. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful to Paul, and I'm grateful to all of you that not only are you here, but I'm grateful that you're my family. And I want to say something else to those of you who, well, you're all family. So I'm going to say this. I'm going on with my journey, and I don't know how long that is, but I do commit myself to you, each one of you, that you are my family. We brought two families together when Paul and I got together, and then we've all become one family. Here we are in this room today. We're all family, including Susie and Jay. And we are family, and I commit to you that I'm still your family no matter what, okay? No matter what comes our way. We'll have a lot of journeys along the way. All of us will see lots of more faces, new faces, babies, that sort of thing. But nevertheless, I'm yours. I want to remember that. I'm yours, not only to my own children, but to all of you. And don't ever, ever forget that. Always remember that. So, in the meantime, that's all I'm going to say. But in the meantime, I want to hear from each one of you. You don't have to come up here as I shared. I don't have any order. I know some of you had things that you wanted to say, and if you don't say anything, that's okay too. But anybody that wants to be first can just raise your hand and jump up, or however you want to do it.
I'll go.
Okay.
I'm right here in the middle.
You're gonna stay there.
I can stay here. This is a lovely setting, beautiful room. I had the opportunity, Spam. I had the opportunity to know Paul 20 years, and Dottie touched something. I yesterday got her off to the side for a minute and told her, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but I'll speak for me. Love you. You're my family. Or whatever it is. We don't have any guarantees other than we're born and we pass on. And what Paul meant to me, I didn't put anything on any of the videos, is just very simply, he represented love and faith. He was an example of devotion. And that's devotion's what drives me as a man. I understand honor and loyalty and there's brotherhood, but devotion. And when I met Paul, I just met this lady here, and took me out in the parking lot.
I bet he did.
And he said, this is my oldest daughter. and I need to talk to you for a minute. And he said, are you gonna love her? And I can say here today, because of Paul, I made a devotional commitment. I've been with her longer than any other man thus far in life, and I'm gonna continue to.
Did you have to throw that in?
But he was a motivator. He seemed to be something, he joked around a lot, but I just come to a place where in the past few weeks here, I had the opportunity to fulfill something that I've been working for a long time. And Paul was one of those that kept saying, Jerry, just, you're gonna get there. You're gonna get there. And I know right now that he knows I got to where I believe I need to be. And that was that fulfillment, and his expression of love for Dottie it's moved me in my life to where I've had the opportunity to share that with a number of people. But thank you for your commitment too.
Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that. Okay, anybody else? We've got a couple of videos, but go ahead, Joe. You want to do that?
You good? I don't know, I guess we'll just set if that's okay.
You want to come up here? You want to?
If you can hear me, I'll stay here.
Can you guys hear?
Yeah.
Okay.
My voice doesn't carry very well, so I'll do the best I can. But, I guess what strikes me when we first got to meet Paul, we were all so much younger. It was so many years ago.
30 years ago.
And we had young children who are now, in their early 30s. And I remember thinking, Paul just seemed to me to be extremely sophisticated and scholarly, and his adventures that he would go on, and that was I'll say maybe different for me. Maybe I'm not around that many scholarly educated people, but that's the way that I felt about it, and I thought it was such a perfect fit for my mom to be with that kind of a man, and so we, just felt very highly of him just right off the bat. My oldest son was probably maybe 2. He started talking very early, and he would say really odd things that just seemed like that can't be coming out of a child's mouth. But it was always a joke with Paul. For one thing, my son would always call him Paul Wood.
His full name.
Paul was Paul Wood. And so I've always called Paul Wood when we would talk. And but Paul had this little sports car, and it was, a fancy sports car, really cool, nice car.
Mitsubishi.
Was it? Yeah.
3,000.
That's what it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it was really nice, but my son Jerry, as young as he saw that car and he said, Paul Wood, you're gonna get a ticket in that car. And it was
Seems like
always
yesterday.
it was always such a good memory, and Paul would mention that all the time, always talk about that. But we got to spend so many Christmases together with young families, and the Wood family. I wish Ron and Connie and their kids could have been here, because and with many of you all on the Wood side, those Christmases were just so special, and it just felt like such a very big, happy family and all the little kids running around. I just loved all the little kids running around, you know, Cindy and Sam and Sally and Jerry and
Paige and
Jake and
Sean,
Paige and
yeah.
Sean and it was just
It's
wonderful.
so special.
So, anything else you wanna say?
Well, I will have to say selfishly, it was very hard when, Paul and Dottie moved away and came here to California, because we used to go out for many celebrations, you know, Christmas was so special. Paul would get out the Bible and he would read with his, the Christmas story and his beautiful voice, and the kids just loved it, and